Hey Scandal Squad, welcome back to the channel, Celebrity Scandalous. Shout out to Cousin Tino on X. He was live and in the courtroom yesterday for the Halle DDG situation, their custody case. And so I have been following this, but now I'm going to jump in and start talking about it because I personally had a very bad custody case in California. So I consider myself a subject matter expert. I know the rules of court for custody in California, and I was also a litigation secretary in California for almost a decade. So I'm an SME on this custody. I also follow very closely and was generally right with a lot of things that I predicted in the Melody and Martell home custody case from Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I'm going to just jump in here. I'm going to, again, shout out to Tino Is Funny on X. Use his notes to talk about what I think is going to happen in this case. So he said the main arguments was that DDG staged the paparazzi doing an ice cream outing with the child. He argues the child shouldn't be on social media, says DDG's fan base causes harassments towards Halle Bailey and wants restrictions on DDG posting the child. So from my understanding, Halle was the petitioner in the case, and then he was the respondent, and maybe he filed another case, but we're going to use her as the petitioner and use him as the respondent. So generally speaking, in California, and probably in most states, but I'm going to focus on California here, joint legal custody is generally 50-50 down the line. So when people are talking about 50-50 custody, everybody always says, oh, everybody, they're going to get 50-50. Yes, in California, it is a 50-50 state for legal custody. Both parents are entitled to make decisions about religion, schooling, just matters that relate to how the child is being reared and raised. Two parents, a mother and a father, and unless one parent is unfit, even if the child does not live in the household with that other parent, they have a right to say how this kid is being raised. That's it. Now, and that's on the big issues. Like I said, religion, certain things like that. There's a case in California right now where a father won sole custody because apparently the mother was trying to raise the kid as non-binary, and the father didn't like that. And the courts jumped in and was like, apparently that they said that she was dressing the kids in girls' clothing, calling him or her and stuff like that. The kid didn't like it. The courts ruled in his favor, said it was harmful to the child. So in situations like that, the courts will come in and say no. But when we talk about joint legal, both parents have a right to have input on how the child is being raised, like the religious affiliations, things like that, schooling, and a multitude of other things. I can't think of the whole list off the top of my head, but that's joint legal. In terms of custodial parent, that's where the courts will come in and determine who gets the most time with the kid, who is the better parent. And I don't want to say better parent, but here's the thing with most of these custody cases, you always have to think about the judge is going to say what is in the best interest of the child. Man, when I was going through my case, they hammered that into our head. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about either of the parents. It's what's in the best case for the kid. So when they look at the parenting schedule, they're going to look at, there are a lot of variables that go into play. Where has the child primarily lived? No court wants to uproot a child mid-school year, mid-whatever, and just pull them out of an established routine. So if Halo was primarily living with Halle most of the time, and it sounds like I haven't heard that DDG wants that he wants joint physical custody. So I haven't heard that. They're going to look at, when they look at custody, they look at what has the kid's primary residence been for the last 6 months, or, maybe even longer. And they're going to want to keep an established routine. So I know there was some discussion about DDG wanted overnight visitation. So let me go back to his notes. It says DDG's lawyer requests overnight visitation, aiming for weekends and midweek time. Okay, so this is how it works. So if they are saying that he needs supervised visitation, you guys have to understand, in most cases, that's fine. If they want supervised visitation, they will get somebody there will probably, it has to be somebody like who is certified or whatever, and they will agree to the person who will supervise the visitations. 9 times out of 10, that is only temporary. Most of the cases where you're going to see where it's continued or elongated supervised visitations is where maybe the parent has harmed the child or has done something erratic or something that could be potentially harmful to the child. And I'm not talking about having paparazzi around. I'm talking about, physical abuse, something like that, right? Something really horrific. These supervised visitation, from what, in my estimation, if he does everything the court wants him to do, those supervised visitations will only be temporary. And another thing that people don't understand, when you're talking about these custody cases, they could last up until for years. I mean, you might see the judge to make a modification every 6 months, maybe once a year, maybe every 2 years. So there's not going to be, I'm predicting this supervised or this monitored visitation will be temporary as long as DDG follows the guidelines of the court. There are no hiccups, there are no incidents. I don't know how long the judge is going to ask them to do it, but it's called a step up. Like we had a step up plan as well. And generally they're usually like 4 months to 6 months. Then they will come back, look and see if everything has been going okay. If there haven't been any incidents, the judge will probably allot more time. So I don't think that DDG's visitation, that he won't get his overnights, that they will continue to be supervised. It's just temporary. DDG has to follow the orders of the judge. I don't know. I believe that I did hear that there was some parenting classes that they had to take, but if I were advising DDG, I would tell him to take parenting classes on his own, because he can present that to the judge to show that he is definitely, if there are any issues that they're concerned about in terms of his parenting, that he is being proactive and he is, doing the necessary so that he is informed, and that will show good faith to the judge. So, I'm going to stay on top of this, but the monitored visitations or the supervised visitation, that will definitely go away. I don't recall many cases, unless it was really bad, that he would have to continue to have the supervised visitations over a prolonged period, as long as he follows the court's orders. And they're ruling that the paparazzi, that they don't want the kid to be photographed and all of that, for both of them to keep the child off of social media. And some people are shocked that the judge did it for Halle as well, Halle as well. But that's the thing. That's what people don't understand. California 50-50, that means you can't tell one parent not to do something and you're able to do it. If you deem that it's not good for the child, then why would you be allowed to do it? And this is nothing against Halle at all. I'm speaking from a person who has gone through this, right? You can't ask the other parent to do something that you're not willing to do, unless it's just like the other parent is just out there crazy and nuts. The judge is going to make both of you guys comply. That's just the way it's going to be. Like, what you do in your household, that's what you do. What they do in their household, that's what they do. And so it gets really hard when people run to the court to mediate. Oftentimes they find out the court don't give a damn about either one of you guys. It's always what's in the best interest of the child. So you guys, I'm going to be watching this case because I definitely have an interest in custody cases. I kind of got away from it because when I was doing the Love and Marriage Huntsville case with Melody and Martell, it got so triggering for me because my case was horrific. But I'm years away from that now. And, I really understand the rules of the court in California and how this operates. So I believe that Halle will get primary custody, but over the course of, maybe a year or so, DDG will have his overnight visits and what he's requesting, as long as he follows the rules. But y'all jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions, because, like I said, I think I'm an SME on this subject, but I'll see you on the next video. Bye.